Don't you guys love when a YouTuber goes to review a game that they know very little about? Today, we're going to be reviewing Marathon. If you're not familiar with what it is, it's an extraction-based shooter, kind of like this sci-fi post-apocalyptic thing where everyone's kind of dead and now you're trying to get out alive. Basically what has happened is they've got a huge sale on it for 30% off right now, and actually this week until Thursday, the game is free. So I thought I'd jump in there and play on some of the minimum and recommended specs to show you guys if you're running on some older hardware, is it worth your download? And then eventually, once it's not free, should you purchase it? Now we're gonna evaluate this game based on 5 different criteria to help you determine if you're on older hardware, slower hardware, if it's worth playing, and then also, is it worth your time? Now, to be fair, I'm just some guy on the internet that's really only played it for like 45 minutes to an hour, so my opinion isn't that important. So we will be testing this in 5 different criteria, and the first is FPS, and I want to let you guys know that I actually tested it on 3 different systems. So we tested it on the minimum requirements, which is a Ryzen 5 2600. I actually happen to have just that exact CPU. And then I don't actually have an RX 5500. I had to go with an RX 580, which is slightly slower. So if it's running on this, then you're good to go on what they have is the absolute minimum. The second setup is going to be the recommended. Let me show you this monstrosity that I've got built down here. So this is a Ryzen 5 3600, which is slightly faster than the recommended. So it'll skew it barely. And then it has a 2060 as well. And then for our third setup, so what we did on those two is we ran it on low and medium, because that's most likely what you're going to be running your game at if you're on that kind of hardware. And then on this is actually the third system. This is a much faster system, and we'll talk about that in the fourth point. This is an Intel Core Ultra 250KF Plus and an RX 9070 XT. So it's significantly faster than both of these. But again, we'll get to that point later. And number 2 is actually smooth gameplay. Now, this is commonly mistaken for FPS because FPS does not always equate to good gameplay. And what I mean by that is I've played games like Crimson Desert where I'm getting 50 FPS and it's a very solid experience. And I've played games like Fortnite where I'm getting 150 FPS and it feels really bad. So FPS isn't always the biggest indicator. A lot of times it can be the 1% lows or other things, but you don't really know until you get into the game and actually play it. So smooth gameplay is going to be our number 2. And at number 3, we're going to actually evaluate if it's a good game. Now, again, I'm just some guy on the internet that's only played 45 minutes to an hour, and this isn't my kind of game. So I will, evaluate all of that and try to give you as an unbiased opinion as possible. Number 4, so we talked about we're going to be playing on the much faster system back here. We're going to be discussing upgradability. Now, that doesn't mean can you upgrade this game. What that means is if you were to go from the minimum or recommended computer setups, if you were to upgrade and you really loved this game, would you get a better graphic experience? Would you get more FPS out of it? Would you get a better overall experience by spending more money on a higher end PC? That's something that's important to know, especially if you really love this game and you see yourself playing it in 5 to 7 years. And at number 5, we're going to be talking about whether this game is worth buying. This week it's free until Thursday, but you might also want to know if you were to play it, is it actually worth purchasing once that time is up? So each of these will be worth 10 points for a total of 50 overall. Let's go ahead and start off with number 1. So for the Ryzen 5 2600 and the RX 580, on low, we saw just below 70, and on medium, we were just above 60. And then for the 3600 and the 2060, we were actually right around 80 on both low and medium. Now, as far as the 1% lows go, it was actually pretty good. Everything was above 40, which is really solid for a modern game. So for FPS, I'm actually going to give this a 10 out of 10. Now, number 2, smooth gameplay can kind of get into people's feelings because it's really just about the gameplay and not so much about how it looks. So to be honest, the gameplay was amazing. So here's the first minimum on low, the 2600 and the RX 580. And then we have it here on medium. And then we have the recommended. So here's a little bit of the gameplay from that, which is very, very solid. As you can see, nothing is happening, no stutters, no freezes, no lagging. Very smooth gameplay. So as far as number 2 goes, I again have to give this a 10 out of 10 because the gameplay is very smooth. And on to number 3, here's where I might get a little flack, because again, I am not an extraction shooter kind of person, but I'm gonna try to be as unbiased as possible. So my very first impression of this game was it was awful. I'll just be very upfront with you. It felt very Arc Raiders, like they were just trying to jump on the boat, get in extraction shooters while it was hot. However, the more I played, the more unique it felt. There were a lot of movements like this that were really cool. The interactions at first with the robots or whatever they are, I don't really know, felt too easy, but then I started to get some really challenging fights and it was fun. And then, some of the other things that I found that maybe swayed the game back and forth, I was killed by another player without any warning, barely any loot. I just came in from, they do this sponsor thing where they give you free loot, kind of like Arc Raiders again, and they didn't say anything, they didn't notify me. I know that in Arc Raiders, that's kind of a big thing. You wave, say hi, friendly, foe, all that kind of stuff. I had no clue, they just killed me. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, fine. If not, that could be a turnoff. And then as far as just the visual quality itself, on the lower end cards and the lower end processors, it really looks muddled. And by that, what I mean is it looks very distorted in the colors. It looks all really washed together. But as far as it just being a good game, I feel that if I played this longer and took more time to invest in it, it would be solid. Now again, I'm comparing this to Arc Raiders because that is the extraction shooter. It's been the thing for a long time. I know Escape from Tarkov had like its very niche group. It was also really popular as well. I think where I'm at this point, I would probably have to give it either a 6 or a 7, and I'm gonna go with 7 just because I feel that's where I should. You guys let me know in the comments what you would rate it, because if you clicked on this video, either you've been interested in it or you've already played it. So let me know your thoughts and why, but I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7. Number 4, upgradability. Now here's where I think the game does actually deserve some credit, because when I went from this older hardware over here to the much superior hardware on this side, the graphic quality and the FPS increase was noticeable. Now on medium, I was running, 80-ish FPS on the recommended, and it looked okay. I'm gonna be honest, I think Arc Raiders is superior in quality. But when I jumped on this, I turned it up to the highest settings possible, and then I went on 1440p, and I'll show all of this to you while I'm playing here, but you can see there's a significant level of improvement in the visual quality, and the FPS managed to go up as well. So, I know that there are games that people play for years. I mean, I've played League of Legends out of habit for probably on and off for 15 years at this point in my life. PUBG, I still play randomly sometimes for like 5 years. So I know that people get into games and sometimes they just stick with it for a really long time. So this is important, like if you like a game and then you want to experience it in a whole new way, you can. So I think the fact that you can get a significantly superior experience visually, that you can get, better FPS, really the gameplay felt fine either way, but like that visual experience did in fact make a difference. It felt like it was a better competing point with a game like Arc Raiders there. Now on the lower end hardware, Arc Raiders blows it away. It still looks really good on low end hardware. So I think as far as upgradability goes, I'm gonna have to give it a 10 because it really does look good here. And finally, number 5, is it worth buying? I think right now it's on sale for $27.99 or something like that, and normally it retails for $40, which I think is how much Arc Raiders also costs, which I purchased to test, and I probably wouldn't have done so either if I didn't have to do that for this YouTube channel. But anyway, is it worth buying? That depends on you. Because I personally would not purchase this game for $40. I wouldn't purchase a lot of games for $40, and there's probably a lot of people that are in the same mindset. But if you enjoy extraction shooters, I think there are probably some perks to this. There is some uniqueness, but it still feels really same. So, similar to what you've seen, and to me, again, it just feels like they're trying to jump on a cash cow here and hit extractions while they're hot and popular. Kind of like people did when PUBG and Fortnite came out, when there was just a million battle royales and that genre is kind of died down now. So out of 10, Is it worth buying? For me, I would probably give this a 2 or a 3, but to be fair, because this is not my type of game, I'm gonna go ahead and say that it's probably a 7. So that means in total, we got 3 10s and 2 7s. That puts our score out of 50 for Marathon at a total of 44 points. Let me know in the comments what you guys would have scored this game. Also, don't forget, I am giving this PC away right here on June 15th. I'll have the link for that. It's in my newsletter. Check it out. I'll catch you guys in the next video.